How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffledRowlit, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Today, we're going to be doing something slightly different. As you may notice on the actual thumbnail and the title, today's video is going to be a little bit different from our usual stuff. Usually, we talk about rumors and that sort of stuff, but today I want to do a little bit more of a speculation, because we are in a phase right now where we're just waiting for news, so I thought something more speculative would be slightly more interesting. And today's speculation will be about the subject of fossil Pokemon. Now, fossil Pokemon have not been around now for a full generation. Generation 7 did not introduce a single new one. We did have new ones seemingly, if I can remember correctly, in Generation 6, but since then we really haven't seen any new fossil Pokemon, right? We haven't seen any new ones pop up, and I mean, I personally love these Pokemon. As a big fan of dinosaurs in general and just, you know, prehistoric creatures, I always love seeing them in Pokemon games get represented in one shape or another, but with the lack of them in specifically the Alola region in the Generation 7 games, it has been a little bit empty in that front. So we're all hoping, and due to the fact that we're going to a region that was infested with these things, these creatures, I'm pretty sure that we should be able to see some sort of new fossil Pokemon show up in these games, especially with the cave references we've seen in Pokemon Sword and Shield. If you look at the trailer, there is a cave that you go into, and that cave has a bunch of crystals and stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised if we also didn't end up finding, like, you know, fossil bones, or like, you know, just a fossil that we can turn into a Pokemon eventually as well. It would be surprising if we didn't have something like that in there, but either way, ladies and gentlemen, I thought we'd take a look at some of these, and I want to thank two people in particular. I want to thank Armin, who was the person who actually suggested it, so Armin, thank you so much, I appreciate it, dude, it's really appreciated, and also, a big thank you to Fakemans, who actually was the person who ended up helping me make a lot, or who's the person who actually made, rather, all the designs showcased in this video. So thank you to Fakemans for actually doing this. I really freaking appreciate it, man. You really put a lot of time and effort into this, so Fakemans, thank you so much. I'll check, please check him out. I will leave his stuff down below so you guys can give him some love. Either way, what are we talking about? Well, we're going to start with the subject line here, which was sent to me by Armin, which is, there are, of course, you know, many ideas for what the, you know, fossil Pokemon could be based on, but he suggested two specific ones. Now, I actually have a Pokemon version of one of these, which I'll showcase later in the video, but the other one I do not have one that's in a Pokemon form. But here's where we start off, though, which is, you know, which was the suggestion from Armin, was a Hyleosaurus, which would be a rock steel type. Now, this would be a perfect Pokemon and dinosaur Pokemon, so to say, because of its armor. And since we're going to a region which is going to have, you know, swords and shields and whatnot, and that's the name of the game, you know what I mean? It would be surprising if we didn't have a Pokemon that literally is a straight-up shield. Like, its whole body is like a straight-up shield. And that's what you get from the Hyleosaurus. Now, the other one here is the Eotyrannus, or also known as the Eotyrannus lengi, which is basically like a raptor dinosaur, and has, like, you know, it's a little less, you know, kind of, you know, it's a little less like dinosaur-y for what you're used to. Like, you know, when you're thinking of raptor, you usually would think the ones from, like, Jurassic Park. They tend to be a little bit more furry and, you know, have, like, or feathery, so to say. And this one's got a little bit more, like, you know, feathery, furry type thing rolling on it, which you can probably see from the design a little bit. But yeah, so definitely cool, really two cool, like, concepts. But that's not where we're going to end today, though, ladies and gentlemen, because we've got actual designs to show you. But the ones we're going to show you designs for are different ones. So the one we're going to start with is the one that I mentioned earlier, which was Hyleosaurus, which is the big, chunky, big boy that definitely could work as a rock steel type. I think rock steel typing would be perfect for it, especially for a region that's supposed to be going through some level of, like, industrialization and whatnot, based on what we've seen so far. It would be surprising if they didn't do something like that. Now, the Hyleosaurus was a herbivorous, ankylosaurian dinosaur that lived about 136 million years ago in the late Valliginian stage. Wow, that's a really weird time. I actually don't know, you know, too much about all the stages of, like, you know, kind of the periods of history, but it was basically the early Cretaceous period of England, which was very interesting. So this is actually a creature that's, you know, hailed from England specifically, which I think would be perfect since the Galar region seemingly is based on the UK, or England, so to say. It's based on that. So, you know, due to that factor, I think this is a perfect Pokemon to fit there. And for that, we actually have a design which I think kind of gets the point across really well. So here is the first stage one, which I don't think we have a name for, but again, thank you to Fakemans for making this. Like, straight up, this man is a god, so just thank you so much, dude, again. But this is the first stage evolution for this thing and what it would look like. So I'm not sure what we would call it. I know we have a name for the other one, like the evolved version is called Hyalant, which actually makes sense because it's Hyleosaurus, so high. But I'm thinking like this, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below your suggestions for names of what this thing would be called. I would love to know. But it really gets the actual Hylaeosaurus kind of concept and design across really well when you look at it, right? You've got the shield on the back, which looks more like a shield. If you look at the actual Hylaeosaurus, the back of it is slightly different. It's more like almost like rocks on it and whatnot. While this one's more clean and looks like a straight up shield, which again makes more sense with the region we're going to. And you don't want to make it look exactly identical. Then of course we have these spikes from the sides which stick out, and also the same thing on the actual Hylaeosaurus. Same thing was happening there. You got a intimidating face with like really intimidating eyes and a little bit of a bulky body. So really a straight up steel rock type shield-esque Pokemon, which I think looks perfect in my opinion. I just think it is fantastic. But its evolution is even better. Its evolution is bloody fantastic. And this is Hyland. So this was also again made by Fakemans. All the designs in this are made by him. So thank you to him so much. This is, by the way, Hyland. And this is just, I don't even know what to say, man. This is just fantastic. Of course, the change of color is great as well. I do like that we jump away from this kind of dark, like, color over to this more like, like golden color on the outlines, if you see that, what I'm talking about there. Because you got basically like a grayish outline, but then we go over to like this golden one, which looks so much better and like way cooler. And also the blades on the side, so like the, the little pointy ends, are actually more like swords. They look less like, spikes, but more like, just straight up, sword edges or whatever, which is really, really cool. Again, the design overall looks a bit more like a turtle on this one, but I'm totally fine with that. Again, it really gets the point of how the Hylaeosaurus actually look like across really well. It gets really that feeling of it across really well, but transforms it enough into a Pokemon so it looks like its own unique thing, and it just doesn't look like a straight up ripoff of a, an actual dinosaur. I mean, it looks unique enough, which is just perfect. So Fakemans, you are a bloody legend, dude. Thank you so much for making this. But yeah, that's going to be that one. Let's jump over to the next one here, which is going to be let's just say it like this, slightly different, let's just put it that way. So this is going to be a Pokemon, or rather a dinosaur we're going to talk about that we haven't mentioned earlier. So we've already mentioned two Pokemon, the Hylaeosaurus, which we just went through and showed the designs for, and also the Eotyrannus, which would also be like a raptor-esque type creature. But that one, of course, as we mentioned, we don't have a design for. But there's a different creature that existed in specifically the area around the UK, which let's just say that it was in Europe, so to say, and this is Iguanodon. Iguanodon is a this is a chunky boy, let's put it that way. Now this was a big creature. It was, I mean, to say the least, it was chunky. Let's just put it that way. It was a pretty big creature, and the way it's described here is the Iguanodon basically is a genus of ornithopod, and it existed basically in the mid of the Jurassic, and was a duck-billed dinosaur of the late Cretaceous. So this is it's interesting. So there are many species that have been classified as the genus Iguanodon, and they've all just been kind of dating from the late Jurassic period to the early Cretaceous period in Asia, Europe, and North America, and it's a little bit of a mishmash, to put it bluntly. But there is something cool about this one, and that's that we have a design for it actually, which I think is kind of interesting. I really like it. So this design was made again by Fakemans, and I've got to say it looks fantastic. So we start off with the first stage here, which I do not have a name for. Again, I'd love if you guys could actually come up with the names down below. And I don't think actually Fakemans either had a name for these. I know he had Highland, but he didn't have the other ones. So I would love to know in the comment section down below, guys, what would you call this thing? But here is what it looks like, though. So the reason why it's standing up like this, and you may be a little bit confused, like, well, it's a dinosaur, shouldn't be kind of on all four, unless it's like a, like a T-Rex looking thing, right? When it's on 2 feet. Like, what's the deal? Well, here's the thing, right? The Iguanodon was on all fours, right? But it could actually stand up on and be, walk like in a bipedal form. Like, it actually could do that. It was very common for it. I mean, sure, it used to walk around on all fours, but its legs were strong enough that it could actually stand up, on its back legs and basically, hold itself up. Hence why we, kind of, I guess here, with this design, have a little bit more of a, the other way around. Instead of having it on all fours, we have it just walking around like a, like a human, like a bipedal human type design. So, I do like that, though. Either way, of course, design is badass. I think you guys really would like this one if this was real, because if this was an actual Pokemon, I think a lot of people would like it, because it falls into the category of those, like, really cool bipedal Pokemon that we have, like, like kind of like Gibble and whatnot in that category, Larvitar, etc. That category is where this one falls in for me. So I love the design. It looks cute. It looks adorable. But its evolution, though, is even more badass. And here it is. So this thing is just, I mean, I don't know what to say, man. I love this thing, dude. It looks like almost like a crook. It's got like, like its eyes have this like almost like a bandana design on them, on the eyes, which looks like it's like, it looks like a little like, I I don't know, like a thief or something. And that's kind of what it reminds me of. But the design does also get the point of the Iguanodon across. And how do we know this? Well, basically, there's one, one aspect that may be a little bit different, and that's that the face on the Iguanodon is a far more, like, long. Hence why here you'll notice with the nose, it's far longer out, like, far further out than, normally what you would see on a Pokemon. This one's like way further out there to kind of, symbolize how that, face of the Iguanodon is kind of like that as well. But then, of course, there is a major change in how the Pokemon looks like. Well, the hands, though, you will notice the hands are actually just like it is on the Iguanodon. That is actually very, very similar, because the Iguanodon had its, like, kind of like thumb, so to say, you could say, I guess. I'm not sure if that's how you would put it. But kind of the thumb, though, on the Iguanodon was basically, like, way, way sharper and kind of longer than the other parts of its, freaking hands. So this actually gets that point really well across. That could be easily used to stab something, so I get that a point and that across. And also the legs are really thick, which would also make sense, whereas the arms are way, way thinner at the starts, and that would make sense, of course, for the one reason, which I mentioned earlier, which is the Iguanodon actually had really, really strong legs to actually be able to stand bipedal. So overall, the design looks fantastic in my opinion. I freaking love it. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a final one. So we are going to a creature that also existed in England, and this one is known as the Megalosaurus. The Megalosaurus, which basically just means giant, is an extinct genus of a large meat-eating theropod dinosaur of the Middle Jurassic period of southern England. Now, although fossils from other areas have been actually, assigned to this genus, the only certain remaining ones of, like, the Megalosaurus come from the Oxfordshire and date to the late Middle Jurassic. Now, this is a creature that existed in England. This was a this is like one of the most famous ones, I'd probably say, to this part of the world. And this thing is, well, to put it bluntly, it is badass. So, we have actually a design for this bad boy. We have a design that was made again from Fakemans, and this one is different, you will notice. And why is it different? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like a Team Aqua Grunt, and I love it. So, when he made this, he decided to go a little bit, a different path when he was creating it. He specifically said that he wanted to go down more of a kind of shark-looking design more than anything, and also give it a water typing, which I honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I love it. It's a rock water type, and it looks like a pirate, and I think that makes sense, because it was known to scavenge food along the shores. It was basically known to, like, go around the shore and, like, scavenge for food. So I think this would be perfect, like a little pirate that, scavenge, like a scavenge hunting, or like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess scavenge hunting, or like, just looking around for food around the shores and that sort of stuff would make a lot of sense. And being a rock, water type, it's an interesting little combination, isn't it? It's kind of like, you know what I mean? It's really Gucci, actually. And this is a pretty strong Pokemon. Now, unfortunately, we don't have an evolution from this one, so if anybody out there wants to kind of like work on a custom-made one, feel free to do so. I know we probably will see Fakemans complete the, evolution for it eventually, but overall, though, this design is just, I mean, hands down, I love this. I think it's the best one out of the ones we've seen so far. I think this one looks the coolest. It reminds me of like Team Aqua Grunt, which I love the most about it. So I'd love to see the evil team using these in-game if these were real, because like this is honestly like, this is why I love Fakemon designers, man, because they make so much good shit. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be the end of this video. If you did enjoy, then drop a like down below, and thank you to Armin as well as Fakemans for helping me out with this video. Armin, thank you so much for giving me the suggestions. And of course, Fakemans, thank you for the amazing, dude, just amazing work you put down on this one, dude, making all the artwork. Just thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be the end of the video. If you did enjoy, then drop a like down below, and I will catch you all in the next one. Have yourselves a great day, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.